What is going on, guys? I'm Crazy Pickle and welcome back to another Skyforge video. In today's video, we're going to have a quick look at each class in 2020 or the end of the 2020. Keep in mind that most of the DPS classes are only good because of the pay-to-win weapons or upgrades in the Invasion Atlas. Without those weapons or upgrades from the Atlas, 80% of DPS classes in the terrible condition right now. So we have 18 classes separated by 3 categories. First one is support. We have Alchemist, Lightbinder, and Soundweaver. Defense. Grovewalker, Knight, and Paladin. Attack/DPS classes. But DPS classes also separated in 3 sub categories. First one is energy, which is the Cryomancer, Firestarter, Kinetic, Necromancer, and Witch. Moving on to the melee classes, which is Berserker, Monk, Revenant, and Slayer. Moving on to the ranged, which is Archer, Gunner, and Outlaw. Let's start with support classes. So we're gonna start with an Alchemist. So I joined the mission just to actually see, and the problem is that I forgot that Alchemist, when you go in solo into the missions, the abilities on the bar is not changing. As you can see right now, I have 2 kind of shields. Then I have a C ability completely different. But if I'll open my abilities menu, the PvE abilities is completely different. So for some reason, I don't know why the hell they're doing that, but it always shows PvP abilities if I'm going to the training room or if I'm going solo into the mission. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna go quick over the abilities, at least the main abilities that mostly, goes for the support part. So Alchemist has 2 buff abilities, which will be your stimulant injections, which will transfer 50% of the Alchemist might for 10 seconds, meaning the more might you have, the better you will be, the better you will provide the buffs for your teammates. So next one is the energy shower. Your movement speed and the damage increased by 30% for 9 seconds. And it also has a limit of the radius, how far it can go. So it's 20-yard radius. I don't know how far it is in yards, whatever. But it's pretty good thing. And when you actually use the energy shower, your dashes, when you like using the dash, right? It's unlimited amount. So during the 9 seconds, you can dash as many times as you want. Next one, which is the debuff that applies to the enemies, your biotrap, and it increases damage to the target by 40% for 12 seconds. Pretty good boost right there. Alchemist has 2 protective abilities, which is the protective shell. The cool about this one is the protective shell that it absorbs actually the very first attack. When you apply the shield, it absorbs 100% damage from the first attack. If protective shell is broken, it will immediately recharge, but it only happens once in a row. So it's once in a battle. So if you're still fighting, it's not gonna happen again. And the second ability that protects the entire group, which they have to actually use it, and I can actually show it right now here how it actually works. It's the Alchemic terminal. We just call it terminal. So it just drops the terminal. Let's just use it like that. And you have to, well, it's not that one, sorry. It's the different one. But you get an idea. If I'll change the weapon, okay. And I'm gonna have to wait for 1 minute and 50 seconds. This is a different one, it's because of the weapon. Stupid me. So while I'm waiting, so what it does, it actually, all allies within 40 yards can use the terminal and gain 100% immunity to damage and control effects for 4 seconds, which is a pretty good. So it's usually used in the crucial moments when it's really, really required, and it's definitely helps out a lot in the moments like that. So yeah, 1 minute left. Let's just wait a little bit. All right, so the terminal is off cooldown. Let's just use it. You just drop it right next to you, push the space to use it, or whatever interact button you have. And here we go, 4 seconds, the immunity to you and whoever else use it in your team. It does stays for some time, but then it disappears. And even if you didn't use it, it will disappear. So you better use it when it dropped. You don't have to do it right away. It depends on the situation. If it's really crucial, use it right now. If not, then you can just wait a little and then use it right before it disappears. And the last ability, which is the ultimate ability called Healing Essence, It just restores 40% health to all allies in 7-yard radius. It's pretty basic. You just line just like so. You can move around as well, and it heals 40% of your allies' health, plus I believe yours as well. You do have the debuff after that for about 8 minutes, and of course you have the 8 minutes cooldown on that ability. Let's move on to the Lightbinder. Alright, so we are on a Lightbinder, and I had to change the locations, plus I had to invite one of my Pantheon mates to the group because some of the stuff I cannot do it, especially just the Flood, one of the abilities, I cannot use it if I'm not on the team. So the first ability is gonna be, it's 1 in 2, so it's 2 in 1 actually. So Particle of Light and Flood of Light. Particle of Light, you just do in the right click, and it taps, it deals damage around that explosion, and it removes the negative effects from your allies, the one that you're actually using on, and the explosion around it. So that's the one ability. And then the second stage of that ability is when you hold the right click, it floods the character, and it goes to 3 more characters. So it can only flood 4 characters in total, and it transfers 40% might of Lightbinder's 40% might of Lightbinder. So the next ability is the Blessing of the Sun. Class abilities of the character and their allies in 20-yard radius deals 35% more damage. The effect lasts 10 seconds. So it applies the effect on all the members in your team. So you can only, let's say you have, 10 people in your raid, distortions, avatar, whatever. It applies that buff on all 10 people, and it simply just push 3 and you get it. So you will see your weapon color will change a little bit as well. Just quick reminder that you can see the V ability at the bottom where all my abilities. Don't mind that, because this is ability part of the weapon that I'm wearing, and that's technically a pay-to-win weapon. So I can just show it right here. So that's the V ability part of the weapon. Just don't pay attention on it. So the next one is, what you can do is protect again. You have 2 protections as the Alchemist, but the Lightbinder's protection a little bit different. The shield, which is unstable shield, has a faster cooldown compared to Alchemist, but it has the less durability, I should say. So pretty much you just apply either to ally or to yourself if you wanted to. So if you're targeting somebody, it will apply, of course, to the person you target. If you, for example, don't target anybody and then you will use the shield, it will always apply to you. So you can protect yourself without even targeting anybody. Or if you targeting an enemy, it will apply only to you. Another one is Sacred Barrier, which has 2 minutes cooldown, and it protects you from all the incoming damage and removes all the negatives effects for 7 seconds, but it only works for you and the allies that in front of you. So if I'll stand in front of my Pantheon mate and I'll use it, it will apply only to people who stand in front of the Lightbinder. So just keep that in mind. And of course, the last one is the Incarnation of the Light, which is the ultimate ability. And allies in the area of the effect deals 50% more damage with class abilities while taking 35% less damage. And it works pretty good, and area is actually pretty big as well. We're just gonna use it right now, and you can see the circle around me. You can move as well if you wanted to. So that's the radius of that area. Right on the last second, you can just use number 1, and it will also do the explosion and apply the shield to you and all the members around you that pretty close to your character. So of course it has also 8 minutes cooldown. You have 7 or 8 minutes debuff as well, that you cannot apply that ultimate ability if you have a second Lightbinder. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Actually, yeah, I forgot to talk about very first when I talk about the Alchemist. The Alchemist and the Lightbinder has the same passive ability called Power of Light. Increases the damage dealt by the characters in their allies in 12-yard radius by 20%. Alright, moving on to the last support class, which is the Soundweaver. So first ability is the amplifiers. You can put up to 3 amplifiers around the character. Obviously, you can use them in specific order and where you can want to place them. Keep in mind that if you are far away from the amplifier, more than 50 meters away, it will disappear. So you have to stay in range with the amplifiers within 50 meters. Next, we have the buff ability. Well, we have first two buff abilities and kind of partially debuff. So the first one is the Rhythm of Strength. For the first 10 seconds, allies deals 30% more damage and enemies takes damage from it as well. The effect gets weaker after that, and you can only increases your damage by 10%. So let's just drop 3 amplifiers just like so, and then, oops, sorry, not that one, but this one. There you go. So when enemies on that area, they will get damage. Let's actually switch to this one, and then what we can do is actually drop the amplifier, and while you use the Rhythm of Strength, it deals damage as well. See, I just killed them just with that ability, with that wave of damage. So, but if enemies will stay there, just gonna drop it like that. See, they get damaged by that ability as well. Next one, we got a Rhythm of Courage. It's a buff slash debuff as well. It's buff slash debuff ability. So what it does, it reduces incoming damage by 30% for the first 10 seconds, and enemies takes 30% more damage in the area of the effect. And again, it gets weaker, it goes 10 and 10%. So pretty simple. We're just gonna switch to blue just like that, and then just drop it like that. As long as enemies there, you can see the blue guy underneath the enemy's health, and this shows the debuffs is applied. Whereas for the first 10 seconds, it boosted. After that, it's weakened. But still works pretty good. Again, buff slash debuff. And as long as you and enemies are on this area, it will work. Moving on to the next ability, which will be the Rhythm of Inspiration. Pretty simple. It's completely debuff. It disorients enemies. Here we go. Enemies right there. Disorient them. They don't want to do that. Anyway, they start running like crazy back and forth. They slow down as well by 70%, and damage they dealing is reduced by 50% while they stay in the area of the effect. Again, the effect gets weaker. It's 30%, 30%, and 20%. Oh, actually, sorry. It actually buffs your allies as well. Yes, it does buff your allies as well. What it does, it allies' ultimate ability and divine weapons recovers 2 times faster. And when the effect gets weaker, it only 30% time faster for the recovery of ultimate and divine weapons. The last one is the ultimate ability called Fiery Solo. It plays all 3 effects. Let's just kill these guys real quick. There you go. I'm just gonna switch to blue that we're not gonna attack. We're just gonna drop just like so, and then use the ultimate. You have to play as a guitar hero guy, push the right color at the right time, and it deals damage and applies all 3 effects to your allies and the enemies as well. And then just simply kill the boss, and then you can just go pink and done. So the ultimate is very, very good. You do have 1 minute debuff, and then you have 2 minutes cooldown on the ability. Actually, 220. But with the number 4, you can get that ability faster. So that's pretty good as well. And we do have the Crescendo, I believe, the passive ability. In that case, so it also increases 20% damage as the Lightbinder and Alchemist, but it get that aura where the amps is. So let's say if I'm gonna be like somewhere here, right, and you are gonna be on the amp, you will get the bonus from this passive as long as you stay in the area of the amplifier, which is very, very cool. So, and you can place 3 of them, it like 50 meters apart. Boom, here we go, and people can stand there and they will get this bonus. So since you have the Lightbinder temple or class available right from the beginning when you start to play in the game, there is a temple on the first province, I would recommend to learn that class first. You don't have to unlock it, it's already there for you to use it. Learn this class first, And trust me, all the 3 support classes are very, very useful, and they always needed for the raids, for whatever the hard stuff people do in it. And if you learn and master Lightbinder or, Alchemist or the Soundweaver, if you master those classes, then people will always take you to raids if you see that you actually doing a really good job with those classes. So all 3 supports are always useful, and it's a must have. So you have to have all 3 supports at some point and learn at least basic. But you can still focus on something, you can main one. For example, you're gonna main Soundweaver, but you have to know basics of LB, Lightbinder, or Alchemist. All right, moving on to the next category, which is defense category. The first class is the Grovewalker. Is the latest new class that we got it pretty long time ago, but it's still newest because the Knight and Paladin is the core classes of the game. The cool thing about Grovewalker that it's not just a tank. It can be a really good tank as well, but it also, with the DPS setup of the abilities and stats and stuff like that, you can do a pretty significant damage to your enemies. Like seriously, it goes crazy. I mean, like right now I'm non-god doing the warm-up mission. Obviously, it's just for the purpose of the video, but still, even in the challenge difficulty, it still deals a pretty good damage. Moving on, let's go through all the abilities real quick, which is not a lot. The very first one is the Breath of the Forest, which launches the stream, as you just saw, and it taunts the enemies. So meaning enemies will only attack you, but it also deals damage as well, and it's a pretty good damage. The next ability is Natures of Grip. Roots moving into the selection you actually aiming, and it just stuns the enemies. Well, roots them. So as you just saw, I just killed them, but it actually roots them for a pretty long time. It doesn't say it, but it's about like 6 or 7 seconds or something like that. So the next one is the Tessa's Call, which is the buffs for your Diasinius. The way it works, we're just gonna use this one, Breath of Forest, right? And you can see the buds on the floor spawns when you use that. It also spawns when you use your just basic attack, right? But when you use your blooming, the right click, it spawns the flowers, and if you use your 3 ability, it buffs those flowers. So they stay longer, they deal a little bit more damage than regular ones, but they also attack a little bit faster as well. The next ability is the one with nature. It's more of a protective ability that you can protect yourself from, maybe like really crazy attack, maybe from the boss, or if there is a way too many enemies and you have to kind of use that to maybe wait for the cooldown of your roots or stuff like that. So you pretty much just go attack it, and let's say if you see that you need it, you can just boom. Enemies will kind of follow you. Some of the enemies, especially bosses, will follow you, but they're not gonna they cannot deal damage to you. And if you need to wait for the cooldowns on your roots, or maybe a taunt, or maybe even your ultimate, which we're just gonna talk about this just right now. So your ultimate ability, it transforms you to your beast. Like, I guess you can become a Hulk or something like that. It deals a crazy damage with this spinning attack, like insane damage. Then you have your fighter form. There you go. You have the Shield of Thorns. It doing the damage that what does it do it again? I already forgot. Returns 40% damage if taken. Then you have this one. Well, I didn't have enough time. You do have specific energy while you can use that ultimate ability, but it's easy to get it back. So you have you need 200% energy in order to use your ultimate ability. Go ultimate ability, fighter form. So I was use that living missile, probably still in a cooldown. Oh, maybe not. So there you go. Living missiles, just like that, deals combination with the Shield of Thorns plus this deals insane damage. Then you have Touch of Life. You can, oops, the wrong button. You can heal yourself for 10 seconds. It heals you. And then you have another stun, which is this one right here. Stuns the enemies in front of you. Also pretty good attack. And yeah, the right click, the basic attack. The right click is the most important in that part when you use your fighter form. And yeah, that's about it for the Grovewalker. A few abilities. So you have a taunt, deal damage, spawns the buds. With the blooming, you spawns the flowers. Nature Grip stuns the enemies. Buff for your flowers. Kind of protection for yourself. And then the ultimate, which gives you Shield of Thorns, a little bit of stun. This one is actually Living Missile, is also stuns the enemies when it hits them. Then you can heal yourself, deals a crazy damage with the right click. And then actually when your ultimate ability is over, or you used up all the energy on your ultimate ability, you get the shield. It applies the shield that absorbs damage equal to 50% of your health, which is insane. And of course, we do have some passive abilities, but that's what we need to talk about. Just the abilities that you usually using all the time. Those are passive. They always works as a passive abilities. Let's move on to the next class, guys. All right, next class is the Knight. So we do have another tank, which is pretty good. It's really good for taunting single targets because it has the spear throw that taunts or takes aggro for the single target, and it's very, very strong. Then we do have the Havoc, which is pulls the enemies to you, deals damage as well, and I think it also taunts the enemies as well. So here we go, just like that. Then we do have Falcon Attack, which is the single attack, but it also applies like a shield effect to you or something like that. This is just the weapon part. There you go. And then we have the Resolutive Rebuff, which is the shield that absorbs all the damage that incoming. When it explodes, it deals damage around you, but it also taunts the enemies to you. So just like so, and then boom, deals damage. So it doesn't have as crazy damage as the Grovewalker would have it. Even if you put like full DPS gear on the Knight, it's still not going to be as good as Grovewalker, but you know, just minions like that, it's easy to kill with the Knight. And so I already talked about the spear throw. It taunts enemies, deal a little bit damage, but it mostly taunts the enemies, so it takes aggro to you. Then we have the Tantrum, which is your buff. What it does, it generates 100% points of willpower, which is your blue bar. Let's just use it with this ability. Boom. So we have 0 pretty much. When we use that, we get 100% of energy. We got some buffs like damage dealt, increased range of weapons by 50%, ability that consumes willpower will create a shield around the Knight that absorbs damage equal to 15% of Knight's maximum health for seconds. So it's pretty good thing, but it has a minute and 30 cooldown. Okay, that's all right. So we do have another ability, which as a tank, it's a defensive stance. What you do, you put your shield right in front of you. It decreases damage significantly. All attacks, like incoming damage, by 25%, but willpower regeneration rate is reduced by 50%, which is not a big deal. Using abilities that consumes willpower make the barrier last 3 seconds longer, and it absorbs twice as much damage, reflecting half of the absorbed damage back at the enemy. And of course, the ultimate ability, Whiplash. You can use the Whiplash to restore your health, but it also revive you. So if you die, I'm not going to show it right now, but if you die, technically you die, you can use your ultimate ability to resurrect yourself. So it's just an extra life for your character. It restores 100% of Knight's maximum health. Look, it inflicts damage to nearby enemies as well. And so let's see, can be activated within 5 seconds of taking fatal damage. So it's like gives you 5 seconds before you died, you use it, resurrect yourself. Pretty good. Pretty good. We do have 2 passive abilities. So the Knight is a very good tank. Moving on to the last defense class, Paladin. So we have also the taunt. We have 2 taunts actually here on Paladin as well. We have one is the AoE taunt, which pulls the enemies to you as well. You kind of runs towards them as well. Just gonna use one just like so, and then boom, look at that. It pulls everybody in that place. Next one, we have the personal shield. Let's just use it. We apply the shield to yourself just like so. It absorbs pretty good amount of damage. Here we go. It has timer as well for how long it can stay. Now we do have another shield, which is number 4. And that one, it only protects you for 4 seconds. It's Ages of Light. But it also protects the most wounded ally in your team. You can select who you want to protect by targeting the ally you want to protect. And then you can use your number 4 to protect yourself and the ally that mostly wounded. Next taunt, we have the Waves of Holiness. Let's just protect yourself because it looks like we're gonna die. And it deals damage, pushes enemies away, plus taunts them as well. And yeah, again, doesn't deal a lot of damage. Like I said, again, 80% of the classes, not just DPS, but like Paladin, for example, only good maybe with damage if you have the pay-to-win weapons. If you don't have it, it's not gonna deal as good damage because it's simply based as a tank, and that's all it does. Alright guys, let's move on to the next category, which is DPS, but we're going by the each sap category. So which is energy, then melee, and then range. DPS classes. First is the energy line. So we start with the Cryomancer. It also the class that available for you right from the beginning, because you can choose between Paladin, Cryomancer, and Lightbinder. And in the beginning, I would definitely recommend just one of those, Cryomancer or Lightbinder. Fuck the Paladin. I don't know why, but it's just my opinion. Anyway, you have it, so you don't have to buy it, unlock it, farm shit for it. It's already there. It's for you. It's yours. Use it. Learn it, you know. It's really good class, you know, to the point. It's not going to be as good for distortions and stuff like that, but it does have a pretty good abilities as well, some control abilities and stuff like that. So we do have the AoE damage, which is the Icy Comet, deals okay-ish damage, you know, in area, not the big one, but you have a lot of energy to actually use as many of those Icy Comets. With just basic left clicks, you can proc the free one, just like so right now, and use it, and that one is deals, I would say maybe twice, 3 times more damage than usual. Keep in mind that all the classes that has the range attacks, I think all of them, require the weapon with the range damage. So in order to get the bonus for the range damage, which is for me it's 350% additional damage from that weapon, you have to be 20 meters away from the enemy. If you play in some missions like that solo, it's definitely really hard to stay 20 meters away from the character, from the enemy, sorry. But you can manage sometimes. Sometimes you can kill the enemies before they actually reach you, which is also works. But in the Cryomancer option, you do have the freeze, which called glacial feints, right? So it freezes the enemies for whatever, 4 seconds, and you know, you have the time, so you can just freeze them just like so, dash it backwards, boom, and then just start dropping shit on them, you know. I just used one of the 4 ability, right? And that was the Cryo Beam, which goes like straight line, and if enemies are also in a straight line behind each other, it will hit all of them. So it deals pretty good amount of damage. It also have a chance to proc that free, what do you call it, Icy Darts, I believe. No, Icy Thorns, yeah. So you have 2 procs you can use, just tap it, right click twice, and it's good to go. Then now we have the AoE damage, which is the whiteout. That one is a pretty good, so it's a good combinations with like freeze, drop the whiteout, backwards, Icy Comet, let's go, and then boom, all the enemies while they freeze, they not whiteout, they're taking a lot of damage, and they are dead. So whiteout is a really good, it slows the enemies down, it deals pretty good damage. The last one is the Jagged Eyes. I wouldn't recommend to use that. It's a single target attack. It possibly can work against stationary bosses that doesn't move, they just stand on one spot and maybe attack you from the range. But I never ever actually, well, maybe right long time ago when I just started it, I might be used at that, but right now I never use this ability. It's completely kind of useless, doesn't deal a lot of damage. You pretty much utilizing only the Icy Comet, Cryo Beam, Whiteout. Freeze optional if you need to freeze some ads, that's it. The another ability you could usually utilize as well is when you hold your right click. So you target the enemy and you charge the spear. So that spear will apply the debuff. It deals a little damage while it has debuff on it, and it deals pretty good damage to the enemies. So of course, if you're 20 meters away, you're gonna deals a lot more damage. But that's how you play it. White out, freeze, boom, and they're just there. They just die and they couldn't do anything. Like, it's really good control class, really good. But the problem is it's weak, it's squishy. It's not as high DPS as maybe other DPS classes, which I will talk about it. But it's still okay, you know. If let's say you're doing something like Avatar and you need some kind of a control class, you know, you can play as a Cryomancer carefully, freezing enemies, you know, and stuff like that. Your ultimate ability, which is the Frost Shackles, also freezes enemies, but it also can freeze, I believe, bosses as well for a short period of time, like very short, maybe like 3 seconds or something like that. But it has 9 minutes cooldown. You know, also can use it in like a very crucial occasions when it's like really necessary. Let's move on. So next class is the Firestarter, which is the newest class. It was added a little bit long, but it's most newly class, whatever. Yeah, so it's a new class, but not as new, you know, but it's a new. Make sense? No? Yes? I don't know. Anyway, jump to the abilities. First of all, so you have basic attacks. The Fire Breath, it's just you hold your right click. It deals only really good damage when you have your blue bar underneath your health is full. So it's eats that blue bar and deals pretty good damage. Then the next one, we have the Flaming Sphere. You can store up to 3, and it has a pretty good range. Well, actually, let's see, 35. So it's 35 meters away from the target. You can drop your 3 balls, and it gives you the blue energy. See, underneath my health, they deal blue energy, and they hit pretty hard as well. So the left click, it also applies the burning effect. So it stacks up to, I don't even know for how much, but it says burning has 2 chins. No, it's not. So it just stacks up. I don't know for how many times. Maybe we can test it on a boss actually. Maybe not. Anyway, moving on to the next ability, which is the Eruption. I'm probably gonna have to kill the boss with this class. It deals damage. It's an AoE attack as well. It makes the burning ground, deals damage, applies the burning effect. So all of the abilities when Firestarter applies the burning effect to the enemies. So let's just gonna kill the boss. But before that, we're just gonna go to this ability, Fire Dance. It's AoE damage. It mostly all the damage deals around you. And another ability, which is the Path of Flame, which would recover your spheres up to 2, and it deals damage in where you can when you come out of the tube. Like right here, it will deal damage where I am standing. So it's like boom, it deals damage here. Don't mind these circles, it's because of the weapon. Next one is the Shape of Fire. So you transform to your dog, just like so, and you have to jump through hoops in order to get your three what is it called, flaming spheres. I have to fight. So, and of course we have the ultimate ability, which is the, what it's called again, Incinerating Rain, which is a pretty dope ability. It's AoE damage as well. You can use it for the single target, but mostly you just drop it just like so, and then just let it hit the enemy, and you can go for the balls. Eruption, use your cat, jumping cat, get your balls, drop another 2 if you need to, and then boom, it's dead. So this class is a freaking OP class. After the Grovewalker, you can actually get the Firestarter if you want actual DPS class to play, but keep in mind this class is squishy, but it still has insane damage. After all the nerfs that it's been done to this class, it's still freaking insane. So possibly, you know, if you want to mix it up and not just play Grovewalker all the time, because it's partially tank. So if you're going somewhere and you don't want to mess up other tanks who playing, then, you know, you can go Firestarter at least and just kill whatever enemies you want to kill. But again, pretty good class, fun class to play. It was a little bit annoying right in the beginning when it just came out, but then they did some fixing, they did some nerfing, and so it's still OP, but it's still fun class to play. Moving on. Alright, so the next energy class is the Kinetic. The problem that I have with the Kinetic is it's a range class. It requires to be 20 meters away from the enemies, so it'd be good to get that range damage. But some of the abilities, like for example, ability number 1, the energy wave, it only deals damage like really up close. So let's just jump right to these enemies right here. Hopefully they're not gonna kill me. But again, you can hold all the way down. Boom. It flows the enemies. I mean, it deals damage as well. Looks pretty good to these minions. But then you can tap the ability, or you can hold the second stage. Kind of gives the explosion. So it has the enhanced pulse and energy wave. So stage 3, stage 2. So it looks like this one doesn't do much at all. The best pretty good ability is to use that actually. It's just using for the purpose of floating the enemies. Next ability, gravity anomaly. You can put it on yourself just like so, and you're floating and your dashes are completely free. But not just for you. Whoever's in your team are inside of this bubble will have those free dashes. You can dash as many times as you want, man. It's fun, you know? Yeah, so, or you can apply it from the range. For example, we're just gonna pick those guys, boom. It will slow them down pretty good, nothing else. And you can just float them just like so. So don't mind the damage right now. It's the freaking minions in the warm-up squad mission. So it's for the purpose of the video. If you go to something harder, it's not as fun as it is right now. Next ability, we do have, yeah, let's do the luminous burst. So it's pretty basic. You just luminous bursting into the direction you're facing into the bubble just like so. And whoever's gonna be by this bubble, it will push them away, deals, I believe, slight damage with the explosion and things like that. But that's how it actually works. So we just go just like so, and then we just do 3. Boom. Doesn't do a lot of damage. The problem, see this Kinetic, that I have to now fight with the up close. And look how much damage I'm actually getting. This is insane. Now I have to use my protective shield to decrease the damage that I'm receiving, float those enemies again, and just keep floating them or something. Because look, I can't even kill them. I mean, I can use my right clicks. That's probably the most strong, well, it's the strongest attack on your Kinetic that you have. The right clicks, the spears that you throw, the rocks, whatever, stone projectile. You have 2 stages as well. So you have, well, I have to pick the enemy to do that. But yeah, that's your most higher attack. There is nothing else. It deals a lot of damage. Your ultimate is also sucks as well. It deals damage around you, but it's a very, very short cooldown. It just stays like that, spinning around, boom, throw the racks around. And it looks cool. I get that part. It's fun, but it doesn't deal as much damage as it probably should. It's a freaking ultimate attack, like, come on. I already talked about the protective shield. Creates a field that absorbs 75% damage taken by the Kinetic or your allies in that shield. And the last one is the gravity trap. So it traps one single target. So let's just go and pick one of the enemies. Just like so, like that guy, for example. See? Boom. And it just flows there for like whatever seconds. And it increases critical, so it increases your critical damage to that enemy. I'm probably gonna have to kill them first before they're gonna kill me. But yeah, it just increases the critical damage or critical chance to the enemy. You deal a kind of critical damage with your stone projectile, and it really deals a lot of damage with that combination. The C ability and the right clicks are pretty good combination, but again, damage in general from the Kinetic not as good as it used to long time ago. So right now, pretty much this class is completely terrible. Again, if I wouldn't have that weapon, it would be completely different story. Using my right clicks, it wouldn't be that fast, so it charges the right clicks very, very slow without this weapon. Like I said again, most of the classes who doesn't have the pay to win weapon are sucks. Necromancer. So let's talk about Necromancer. This class is still good, not as good as it, I guess, used to. Even without the weapon, like that I'm using right now, or even without this weapon, or even without this weapon, it's still good class. It just changes slightly the rotation that you use on the class, but damage-wise, again, a little bit lower compared to the weapons if I would use that weapon, for example. But still, it's playable. It's still fun to play. You know, even in PvP, I guess you can still use it. A little bit hard, but again, still playable class. We're gonna start with some abilities. We got basic attack. We do have the cursed land, which is just applies the cursed land, and whoever's in that land slows down, and when they're trying to come out of that cursed area, it pulls them back in one time. Next one is the skull throw. I will just show it just about now. Let me just go through the abilities real quick, and then I'm gonna go through small rotation on this class. Skull throw, just throw the skull, restores your energy, which is again blue bar underneath your health. Then we have the ghostly allies, which is summon instance. You can summon ghostly vipers, ghostly skeleton, or ghostly carrion. Keep in mind my carrion will be upgraded because I have the talent, Revenant talent. But in your case, if you don't have that one, it's gonna look a little bit different. Basic stance come back. We do have the leech form. Let's go to the leech form. We do have only 1, 2, and 3 abilities we can use, which is the ultimate ability and the left right clicks. We apply left clicks. Using the right click, it will heals you, no matter how, depends on how many left clicks you apply to the enemy. And the more enemies around you hit with your right click, the more health I believe you'll get back. Of course, the ultimate ability is getting on both stances, either leech or basic. It gets a lot of energy to you, deals damage and stuff like that. So what's next? The Shadow of the Past, which I can actually use it right now. For example, I had full health, right? I used it, puts the shadow in it. I move around, I got some damage. Now it's not 100%, it's 80%. After a certain time, boom, brings me back here, and I have 100% health back again. Pretty cool thing. You know, sometimes you can use it in PvE, not really necessary, but sometimes you can if you don't have any other choices. But this stuff is actually really good, works really good in PvP as well. So we do have the possessions, which will buff your ghostly allies, whatever the thing you will summon, it will buff them. And then you have the Rift of Horror. Well, I have to choose the enemy. It doesn't really matter. It's just gonna make some kind of like a rift on the ground. Let's just do the small kind of quick kill on this boss, and you will see what I'm doing. So pretty much you start with the skull 4, ghostly carrion, buff, leech 4, and here we go. And it's probably gonna be dead. Maybe not, but we'll see. So it depends also how much energy you have underneath your health bar. The longer you will stay in your leech form. Again, it's also range class. You have to stay 20 meters away in order to get that bonus damage from the weapon. If you don't, then you don't get that, but it's still okay-ish because we can kill the guy and it's dead. Amazing class to play. Again, I'm not gonna use my ultimate because it's 6 minutes cooldown. I don't want to wait, and it just kind of sends the ghost in front of you, deals damage, restores your energy, which is the blue bar underneath your health. Again, pretty cool class to play, and if you saw some of the videos as me playing Necro long time ago, in some distortions, it does pretty good damage. All right, let's talk about witch class. All right, this class is squishy as hell. First of all, it is a bit complicated to actually play because it does have 2 stances. It has the curse stance and it has extermination stance. It has a bunch of abilities on both stances, right? But mostly what you use is your main is always you use the taint, your left clicks. You always have to apply that on the target. Then you use your murder of crows, which I'll show you just in a moment. Then you use your epidemic, which will increase the radius of murder of crows, but it also applies the epidemic to nearby targets. For example, let's grab this guy right here. Apply 1, 2, 3, right click, boom. It deals damage and it applies all the pandemic to the enemies. Here we go. So it's like damage over time. This class is all about damage over time. So it's squishy. It doesn't do a lot of damage, but you know, it's a warm-up again. But it's also complicated to play. If you don't know rotation, if you don't know what you're doing, you're not gonna deal a lot of damage. But again, let's just show the Murder of Crows. I don't think I'm gonna fight these guys. I can try, you know, but let's just try it. 3 taints, Murder of Crows. Use the right click. See, it increases the Murder of Crows again. One more time. Deals damage all around this target right here. So that's pretty basics. You have your finishing attack. And of course, it eats, the Murder of Crows eats a lot of energy. We do have 3, which is slows down the targets. Then we do have the V, which is the curse. I wouldn't recommend to use it. Just doesn't make any sense to do it because you're not gonna break the shield. Let's just, oh shit. Let's just apply 3 taint, just like so. Switch to the stance. We can use either left clicks, deals pretty good damage, really fast. Then we can use the right clicks to explode, to make the taint explode. Don't mind this ability, it's part of the weapon ability as well. So again, you always have to apply taint on the enemies all the time. Let's just move on to the next one, shall we? So we're moving on to the next subcategory, which is the melee classes. We're gonna start with the Berserker. It used to be an amazing class. It used to have a great damage, but again, without this weapon or without this weapon, it's not as good. Pretty much, it's just only good for breaking a shield with the damage to shield weapons. It's my opinion. If you have your opinion, please leave them in the comment section down below. I'm definitely interested to hear your opinion on it. But that's, like I said, this weapon, if you don't have it, if you don't have this one, it sucks. Damage completely terrible. So, but in general with this weapon, yeah, you can do with the green weapon. It's mostly single target for the Iron Heart weapon. But again, let's go over the abilities. So you just saw I was doing the Whirlwind. It has 2 stages, and then now you have this stage, which also pulls the enemies to you when you use that ability. So they usually sometimes we have to pull some adds away from the boss. That's how we usually do it. It doesn't deal a lot of damage, but that's kind of a purpose of that ability, just to pull enemies away from somebody, boss, ally, whatever. The next one is the Leap. It leaps to whatever direction you're facing. Deals slight damage. Whatever else it does. The Berserker is stunned, feared, okay, they can free themselves. Okay, never mind. I got it. Next one is the Crippling Blow. Can I use the Crippling Blow on something? So it's also a single target attack. Yeah, let's just kill this eggs, spawn the boss, and I can actually show it. But before I start attacking the boss, I'm just gonna go over the all abilities that it has. So Crippling Blow, single attack, deals damage to the enemy in total. Hold down the button. So you have to hold it in order to deal progressive damage, I guess. Then we have the Tectonic Blast, and we have the Thirst of Battle. So the Tectonic Blast deals damage around you, and it restores 100 points of rage to the Berserker if it hits 3 enemies. An extra 50 points for each affected enemy beyond 3. So if you have a lot of enemies around you and you don't have any energy, which is blue bar underneath your health, then you can use your 4 ability just like so. And the more enemies you have around you, the more energy you will get back. Pretty cool ability when you need energy. Thirst of Battle is the buff. Increases damage dealt by 40% and the critical chance by 35% for 10 seconds. Then we have the Thundering Roar. Monsters in a 10-yard radius of you freeze with the fear for 6 seconds. Can I use it now? Yes, I can. It just kind of screams in front of you. Enemies running like crazy. Oh, I'm so scared. Let's run from him. But yeah, and we do have the ultimate ability, which is the cooldown 2 minutes. The Berserker unlocks an attack that deals X damage. And so you pretty much go to like a gladiator mode. You have only same ability. You can use either left or right click, just hold it, and it will do the same attack to the single target enemy. And let's just kill this guy real quick. Boom. I forgot. The right click like that applies debuff that increasing all your damage from all of your abilities. Then you go C. Then you go green like that. And you attack the boss with the green weapon that you probably don't have, but it deals a crazy amount of damage to the single target. So yes, and then here we go, the crippling blow, just like so. Jumping again. We don't need the energy, but we can use that ability. We can whip around just like so. Have fun with it. Yeah, let's go. So pretty much basic attacks. If you use all the basic attacks, if you have the green weapon, I think it also decreases the cooldown on your ultimate. You can do the combination of left, right, left, left, right, and then left, 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 and right, which is the fracture, which is the most dealing damage ability on this class, if you're not counting the ultimate. And I'm not gonna die, I'm just gonna kill the guy, and here we go. So, you know, it's easy fight. It's a warm-up mission on a squad mission, so nothing crazy. But again, if you don't have that weapon, you're not gonna be that powerful. And yeah, so that applies the debuff, like I said. Yeah, it's still fun class to play if you have the weapon, you know, if you can deal some good damage and stuff like that. But without it, it's only breaking a shield with this weapon, damage to shields, and pulling enemies with this weapon away from either your allies or the boss. With, you know, some ads may heal the boss, stuff like that. Let's move on to the next class. All right, next one is Monk. In this class, I'm not going to talk too much about it. From what I know, when you switch instances, you get some buffs, whatever it does to you. I don't remember. I never read disabilities for the Monk. This class is way too complicated for me. It's just way too much. I don't know how to play it, and so I just cannot say too much about it. The only thing I can say that it does suck in damage if you don't have any weapons, and if you don't have any upgrades for the Invasion Atlas like they have it right now. So a certain combo that you use in your class, it increases damage, you get some stacks, whatever, it increases your damage. But if you don't have anything that in PvE, it's not as good, especially if you have no idea what you're doing, your rotation, you know, switching between stances and all this stuff like that, because you do have the earth stance, you do have the fire stance, and you do have the wind stance. It has certain abilities. Certain abilities do some stunning, some pushing away, burning effects if it's a fire, and stuff like that. You have your ultimate fusion strikes, whatever that thing does. You can save yourself standing on a pole, just like so. You don't get any damage, you know, nothing controls you, nothing like that. That's it for this class. I'm not going to say anything else because I have no idea what I'm talking about. And yeah, so it sucks in PvE without any upgrades from Atlas or weapons. It's really good in PvP. If you know what you're doing, it's really good in PvP. Revenant, so another really good class. I made a video, you know, what's the best class for the beginners, and it choose between Grovewalker and Revenant. If you don't want to play Grovewalker and you're a new player, you can go with Revenant. It's still okay. It's not as good as Grovewalker, I would say, but it's still great class for the new players to use. It's fully DPS, you do have some survivability, you do have some healing, you do have some control abilities that you can use against enemies, and we're just gonna go over that. First one is the distractions. You hold your right click, just like so, and then boom, it will stun the enemies. It deals pretty good damage as well. We have the dehydration, which is would pull the enemies up close to the enemy that you're targeting, and it also deals damage. The second use time for this ability will restore your health if your health is less than 70%. So of course it's not gonna heal you if it's above 70%. So here we go, just gonna use it just like so. It will pull some enemies. Of course I picked up the weakest one. You do have the slaughter, area damage around you, also deals pretty good damage. You can get the free proc on that ability by using your level, just like so. Here we go. I just about to say that, and it popped pretty good. This thing does twice as much damage, more, well, 3 times more damage than the regular one. You just pops right away. Next ability, actually let's use this one. Gloomy Shadow. So it just launches the shadow, just like so. Push it again, boom. It stuns the enemies. Slaughter, here we go. And then gonna use this one. So you do have also healing ability, which is called Embrace of Pain. Every damage they deal to you converts to health, so it heals you. When it explodes, it fears the enemies away from you for a short period of time. So we do have also ability Punishment, which leaps towards the target, deals damage. If the health of the target under 50%, it will deal double damage or three times more damage to the target. It may even kill the enemy with that ability. And if you kill the enemy with that ability, I believe it heals you as well. Fun class to play. Actually, I forgot to talk about the ultimate ability, which is the Death Steward. That one is a very cool thing. You just go inside, pop it, and your slaughter have no cooldown. Your punishment has no cooldown as well. None of the control effects actually, so it says you immune to control effects, your health is increased by 70%, and their axe attacks deal 30% more damage, which is your basic attacks, I believe. You don't have the cooldown on your punishment, you don't have the cooldown on your slaughter. Your energy regeneration is increased by 200%. Pretty cool, right? Then you have some passive abilities. So that's pretty much all for this class. Very good class. If you, like I said, if you don't want to play Grovewalker, you can pick Revenant as well. It's a fun class to play, high damage, pretty good survivability, and has some cool control abilities as well. Alright, let's move on to the next melee class. Alright, last melee class is the Slayer. Again, I have no idea the rotation on the Slayer. The only thing I know how to play the Slayer is because of this weapon. The only thing I do is the left click and the right click. Left click and the right click. Because of this weapon, the first time I started the combat for 8 seconds, I have that bonus increase. Bonus to damage is increased by 900%. So that's all I do. If I wanted to play this class, that's all I do. I'm just like left and right. First ranged class is Archer. So I only know one of the rotation for the Archer, which is just a single target damage, which would call the aim shot, whatever. So, but again, you do have a bunch of freaking abilities, right? Like you look at this and it's like, oh my god, what am I supposed to do? But again, it tells you right and left. You do the electric arrow, then you go twice right click, it's a fire arrow, then you have fire arrow 3, right and left. What the hell? You can charge that, of course. I wouldn't recommend spend too much time to figuring out how this class works. It's just not worth it. By the end of this video, I'm gonna talk about which class is the best, which classes you need to learn, need to unlock first, and focus to learn them as well. We're moving on to the next one. So we have Gunner, right? The Gunner also has freaking 3 stances. Machine Gun, which is the basic stance. You hold your right click, it will gives you that blue bar energy. Then you have 3, your shield, which will be probably on different stances as well. You have your 4, which is the teleport. Push it again, and then pew, you right here. Cool, right? Again, you do have number 2 ability, which is the plasma rifle, inflicts 50% more damage and does not consume heat energy. The effect lasts 10 seconds. So this is your heat energy, is your blue bar. Blue bar is your heat energy. If you hold your number 1 ability, you go to the missile launcher stance. And of course, the only ability it changes, it's the ability C. You have it. Hold on. Just like so. It's a mine ring. You do have your right click, and you do have your left click. Everything else, number 2, number 3, number 4 are the same, just like so. The right click, it's a AoE damage. So it attacks multiple targets, deals okay damage, but I think the single target is the best. Unless you're fighting like minions like that, then you can use. And your yellow or orange bar underneath your health is your missile. So you have 20 missiles in total that you can use. They do recover over time. Now the plasma rifle, it's just a tap. So you tap it once, then number one ability, which allows you to switch between modes. So you tap it once and you have your plasma. So the left click is just the basic left attack. And then you will have your right click. If you hold it, it will shoot the plasma. It eats your blue bar, but if you hold 2, oh shit. If you hold 2, it doesn't eat it for 10 seconds. So you can use that just like so. But then it's gone, it will eat the energy again. Ultimate attack just launches kind of an orbital strike in the place where you kind of aiming. And it also increases, I believe, abilities attacks. The gunner's attacks will deal 25% more damage to the enemies for 10 seconds. And the last but not least class is the famous Outlaw class. Let's go over the abilities for the Outlaw. We do have the basic attacks. We do have the lead carousel. Just hold your right click and you just like cowboy. Here we go. It looks pretty cool. It doesn't deal a lot of damage. It's really good against minions, like a very low level of enemies. The next one we have the shoot shot. It's just a straight shot in front of you. Boom. The only good when it deals a lot of damage, it's when you have volley fire, which is applies tracers to the enemies. You will see it. Let's just actually start it. Pick this on, guy. You can see the traces. Same symbol as the left click. It has 3, 4, 5, 6 stacks. Use your number 1. That's when it deals a lot of damage. And again, against minions, hold your right click and just spins like crazy. Easy peasy. It's easy class to play. So you do have the grenades. Throws the grenades. It explodes. It stuns the enemies for a short period of time. What you can do else, you can use your carousel, drop the grenades. Boom, look at that. It looks pretty cool. It deals all the damage around you, stuns the enemies around you. It's really cool when you're fighting a bunch of stupid animals. Animals? I said enemies. Okay. I don't know why there is nothing here, but I guess I'm gonna have to fight the boss. Anyway, we're gonna fight the boss. Now we have the dual stance. Dual stance only has the quick and dead ability and left and right clicks. And I'm gonna show you how it actually works just in a moment. Let's go like that. 25 meters away. Again, it's the range class. It needs to be 20 meters away from the target in order to get that bonus. You go to this dual stance. Left, right, boom, just like so. Ultimate, drop it on him like crazy. I have to move out of this spot because it's gonna explode. Dropping grenade. So 16 stacks, sure shot, let's go. Boom, dash it forward. Number 1 again. Boom. And just wait until all the cooldowns is over again and repeat that same shit over and over again. And yeah guys, so this is it for all the classes. Let's move on to the last part of this video where I'm gonna talk about all the classes in general and what I think and which classes are actually best and which classes are you have to learn, which I already told that, but again I will just repeat myself over again. Let's move on to the last part of this video. Alright, so let's talk about all the classes that I just mentioned and we're just gonna talk about it. So in general, the best classes that you're gonna have to learn and what you have to have in general will be all 3 supports. You're definitely gonna have to learn all of them. Main one, for example, Lightbinder, main that first, and then Alchemist and Soundweaver know at least basics how to use those classes. Same thing comes to the defense classes. Trust me, if you would know all this stuff for the defense or tanks and the support classes, you will be golden. You will always, people are gonna always take you to the raids, especially if you know what you're doing, you know how to play the class, you know how to survive. Your character should be strong enough to actually go to the distortions and avatars. And if people see that you are really good at, you always gonna be in a raids if there's a spot. Next, DPS classes. The one that I would recommend is the Firestarter. Is the top DPS at the moment. Even after all the nerfs, it's top DPS. You can have the Revenant as well. You know, some missions maybe or distortions possibly required melee class to actually deals damage because for some reason maybe the range class is not optimal for whatever mechanics happening during that fight. So again, Revenant, Firestarter will be the optimal options, but mostly for the range, I would recommend to get Firestarter first and then Revenant. The rest of the classes there are only good if you have the pay-to-win weapons. Outlaw is still valuable. Outlaw is pretty good, I guess, in like squad missions, group missions, you know, have fun with the grenades and stuff. Same counts with the Cryomancer. And it's really surprising why this has happened, right? All the classes, like the base core game classes that have been there since the release of the game, simply just got left out somewhere outside, you know, not getting boosted or something like that. Even with some of the weapons, those classes are still, you know, useless. The damage is completely terrible. Yeah, I think that's it, guys, for this video. It's probably going to be too long. It's already too long video. And yeah, so let me know what you think about classes in Skyforge in general, and you know, just share your opinion with me in the comment section down below. On that note, if you haven't subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button, activate notification that you're not gonna miss new video I post. And if you like this video, please smash that like button as well. You can follow me on Twitter, join my Discord server, all the links you can find in the description. And until the next time, take care.